It's the HoopWise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Hello, and welcome back to the HoopWise podcast. I'm Steve Hewitt, as always, joined by my co-host, Ethan Fuller. We have a very special guest today. He is the head coach of the team that graces our latest magazine cover. As you can see, actually just delivered.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the presses. We did not...
Literally within the hour.
Within the hour. We did not plan this. Producer Dave, I don't know if you want to zoom in on that, if you can, but...
Sure. Let's do a little camera work.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. He is the head coach of the Class B champs, Brooks. It is Kenya Jones joining us on the show today. Kenya, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate all the love and to have that magazine is a cool thing. So I'm good. I'm a little bit chilly, but I'm good.
I know we were just talking about how the spring has been a little bit of a tease right now, but we'll get there. The warm weather's coming for sure. It's been about a month now since you won the championship in pretty legendary, thrilling fashion, beating Rival Rivers. Alex Wilkins' legendary shot with 3 seconds left to win the championship. Has it sunk in yet that you're a Class B champ? Like, what has the last month kind of been like for you?
It goes through ups and downs, to be honest. I mean, even yesterday, it was, I don't know, it was probably like 7:00 at night, and I was like, did that really just happen? So it's been a month, but it's felt longer, but then shorter. It's all the emotions, and I think it's because just how unexpectedly it happened, right? It wasn't like we were the number one seed and that was supposed to happen. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and so it's been a really interesting month. I tried to get away from it. I planned the trip to Vegas like 3 days after the championship game. And so, and I planned it, win or loss, I was just going with friends, and, I'm there and I won, and, I'm in my own zone. And one of my friends was like, if you're going to just stand there and celebrate by yourself, like, I'm leaving you. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, this came out of nowhere. So, it's been a cool and interesting month. And, I'm trying to balance sort of, embracing it all, but being humble at the same time, but being happy that it happened. It's a cool experience.
Yeah. You mentioned the emotions, and I know we've talked a little bit. It was an emotional journey this season with all the ups and downs and the adversity you face. You guys actually entered the postseason with a sub 500 record. I think it was 12-13, and obviously, we'll get into Alex Wilkins. He missed the first month with the wrist injury, and just peaks and valleys. And then you guys kind of got hot at the perfect time. What was that kind of emotional challenge of the season and the adversity you faced? Like, what was that just like to experience? And how do you feel like this group kind of pushed through all that to come out on top?
Yeah, it was, you would stop by our open gym early in the season, and I looked at the guys and I was like, I've got a group that can battle, and saw them and saw the open runs. I was like, I got something to work with. And then once Alex went down early in the season, to me, I was like, shoot, we're still fine. We're still sort of that same team minus him, but I just didn't know how impactful he was to those kids and to the team, right? And just the emotional, just the heart that he provided. And so, we won. We were up and down a few games and going to the holiday tournament, and we get even more injured. And then coming back from break, we lost 3 games or 4 games. We had lost 5 in a row, and then we won 5 in a row. And I was like, all right, cool. We're right back to it. And then I think we lost 3, and then the 3 that we lost, man, I feel like they were all blowouts of some sort. And I was like, I don't know where we are. And I sat, with the kids in the locker room, I said, I don't know who we are. Like, I don't know what we hang our hat on. We don't have an identity. And then, as we started to win again, we won out our last 5 games. in the midst of that, I looked at them and I was like, embracing adversity is it. I took a look and, we those last 5 games, we had to come back from double-digit deficits in each one of those games. Versus St. Mark's, we were down 30-12. And that game ended up, I don't know, 59-55 or something. The last game where Alex scored 47, it was 45-30 something at halftime that Roxbury Land was up. And I was like, they're about to score 90 points. Like, I don't know what, and then we sort of scratched back and got into that one. And then, Pomfret, we were down, Canterbury, we were down, Rivers, we were down. And through all of that, there was never, like, in any of those games, there was no panic. There was none. Like within the kids, they just looked at each other and looked at me and they were like, we're good, coach. And so to end it that way, to know that they took the reins because they were coaching themselves, that was that towards the end was a cool experience. But I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have to like, it was cool to experience that and then come out on top. But history will show you that that's not a good thing that you want to keep doing. But it showed that we could do it, and it's a cool story to be a part of.
Yeah, I know you were down 30-10 in that Canterbury game in the semifinals, and
30-11, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, number 6 seed. You have to go on the road for the first two rounds, and then obviously Rivers was a giant in their own right. One of the coolest sort of scenes that I saw. I wasn't at your championship game. I was at the other site that NEPSAC had for the championship weekend. But one of my favorite kind of scenes from the weekend was I was watching the stream, and after Wilkins hits the shot to win it, and the celebration is on the court, the camera kind of panned to you. You were kind of face down on the court, and the whole team kind of rallied around you and started celebrating around you too. What was going through your mind in that moment? Like, obviously it was like we're talking like 20 seconds removed from the final buzzer sounding, and you're kind of face first on the court. What was going through your mind with the kind of rush of the emotions of that moment?
Yeah, so Alex hits the shot, and I don't know if you see me, I didn't move. I was like,
yeah,
we made that, all right. And then we go into the timeout and talking about our defense, and we steal the ball, and I'm like, my assistant coach is like, you did it. I'm like, I don't know what we just did. I'm not sure what just happened. It really didn't hit me. And so my assistant coach, Shami, has his hand around my shoulder, and he winds up falling. So I turned around to go pick him up. And then I was like, I'm not going to be able to pick him up. And I just lost my legs, and I just laid there. Because honestly, I was going to go to the crowd and rep my Brooks shirt, and I just fell. And I was like, and tears started, streaming down my eyes. And then the kids were, above me, and that was cool. So that wasn't planned. I put so much emotion into it that I went legless at the end of it, and I was like, man, I'm not sure where I was or what was happening at that moment. It was still like, damn, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah. So I gotta come clean. I gotta take the L here. Our subscribers and listeners will know that we did predictions for each of the championships on the boys and girls side. And for the Brooks Rivers game, I did pick Rivers.
I've been waiting for this story, by the way. I've been really excited for this.
I was wrong. I'll take the L. But I understand, just from talking to you, that maybe that was mentioned before the championship game that I picked against you, which I'm fine with. Like, that's what it's there for. It's for some
bulletin board material.
But I want to know some details. Like, how did you use that? Was it part of like a pregame speech? Did you literally print out my prediction and put it on a board? Like, what was it? What did that look like?
Nah, not enough time to do that, but wasn't enough time for that. I think, first of all, you're right in your prediction. You would have been a fool to predict otherwise. Who would have? We were 12-13. We had never beaten them before. They were the 3-time champions, right? Back to back. So
right.
Who would predict that? You'd be out of your mind to do that, right? But for me, I don't know. It's kind of like 50 Cent, right? 50 Cent, in order for him to be a great rapper, he needs to pick on people. Like he needs to have that. And then if he has no one to pick on, like he's all right. And for me, I need that chip on my shoulder for me to focus more. I need, I need that. And that's what I thrive off of. I don't, I don't like when the target is on my back. I like being the underdog. I know how that is. I know. And so I never said that in the locker room. At least I don't think I did, or I didn't make it a point to. It was just more me. Like, all right, this is and I don't think I maybe pointed that directly out to you, but I said to the kids, like, nobody else in here believes but us. Like, we're the only people that believe but us. And this is all that matters. Whatever you hear out there does not matter. Focus on the next play, on the next possession. And they did that. But for me, yeah, I need that. I don't like having the target on my back because I think there's even more of an expectation that's harder, right? When you're the underdog, you're not expected to win. And then it just becomes easier, right? If you have that target on your back and you're expected to do that, that's a lot as well.
I love it. Yeah. I will say I did, for listeners of the preseason podcast, I did pick Brooks to win Class B before the season started. My tune might have changed over the course of the season when I saw what I saw. But I did. Okay. My instincts
that's a debatable.
My instincts
that's a
were
debatable correct. Win. Although I did the same with some of my picks, so I can't even do that.
I'm going to take a little credit, but hey, I did.
I had to muddy that up, right? I had to muddy that up for me because I was like, this isn't
going to
for me. So let's find some way to be the underdogs. No, I mean it's just interesting. And even still, like at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, okay, like, all right, everybody's watching us now. And then when we sort of went through our, the tumultuous points, I was like, fine, no one is really expecting us to do anything. Now we can be a little bit more free. It's an interesting place to come from, both sides.
Yeah. I want to ask a little bit about Alex because, and obviously Steve's watched even more than I have, but anytime I've seen him play, it is very clear not only the confidence and the swagger he has, but just the joy that he kind of plays with on the court. I think is really special. What is it like to coach a kid like that? And how helpful is it when your team goes through those ups and downs to have a kid like that?
Again, his leadership is above everything else. Like his leadership is better than his play, and that is crazy to have. He is a true leader. I'll keep telling everybody, Alex is a true point guard. He's not a combo guard. He's a point guard. I had to make him shoot those shots just because we didn't have anybody else to be able to take and make those. So, but he wants to pass the ball. He wants to get people involved. He wants to make those, right? And I mean, even last year, in his first year, he was making the correct passes, but to players who just basketball wasn't their first, right? So they wouldn't even expect the ball is hitting them on the chin or out of their hands. And I'm like, Lex, that's the right pass. But then like you have to take those shots. And so I had to force him to sort of shoot those. Now, coming on the flip side, he started taking ill-advised shots that I was like, all right, now we're going the other way too much. But he found that balance. And to be able to he seeks information. He wants to get better. He wants to figure out where his teammates want the ball. And it's I'll tell you what's cool, even because we had to travel and hit the road. And I drove a bus set to Canterbury, which is about 3 hours from Brooks, and that bus ride to that game, the kids were joking with each other. They weren't even tense. Like they were joking and laughing and poking fun at each other. And after we won that game, we had to drive to Suffield, which was about, I don't know, maybe another hour away from Canterbury. And the kids were joking on the bus. They weren't tense. They weren't tight. And that was from him. And he's laughing and he's bringing the best out of people who typically, maybe quieter or don't talk. His leadership skills are phenomenal because he wants to get better. He wants to help other people get better. And he's going to continue to try. I'm not saying he's always perfect, but man, he took the, at the end of the season, he was like, yo, listen to coach. Like, you know what I mean? And I think when he came back, he was just trying to do everything by himself. And we got to a point where he was like, all right, I need to listen, figure that out. That 47-point game, he really listened. He didn't take very many dribbles. And when he did, I actually pulled him out of the game. Like he scored 47, didn't play the full game, missed some free. And I had to be like, those shots that you're taking are crazy. Take these ones. So he absorbs all that. He's a phenomenal leader. He's a great kid to coach.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I want to ask about just kind of the journey with Alex. I remember when we spoke last summer, you told me there was kind of an interesting kind of backstory how you guys got connected. I know he played a couple seasons at Charlestown High School under Hugh Coleman. What have just like the last 2 years been like with Alex and the player that you got and how he's leaving you now? Like what parts of his development and growth are you the most proud of how you of what you saw with him?
One, I got him just like randomly. Again, I had an alum, Ikena Duba, call me out the blue in August. Was like, I'm working out with a kid. He should go to Brooks. I was like, it's August. I don't have any space for this kid. Like, and I wasn't looking for a point guard. I knew he was a point guard, and I was like, I don't need him. Like, I'm looking for a wing. Da da da. Conversations continued to kept going. I was watching him on film. I had never seen Alex play in real life before, and I was taking Ike's word for it. And then I'd gone to one of my good friends' houses and wound up being Alex's uncle. Like, and he didn't know that I was looking at Alex, and so his uncle was telling me, Dave White was telling me like, yo, his leadership is the best thing. So I'm listening to people who I trust tell me about this kid, even after I've never laid eyes on him, and and that's what I mean about sort of the Brooks family and having that family and people that you can trust. And I, took a chance on him, and he's made me a better coach in that sense. Like, I was terrible, and I'm probably still terrible at social media, but he's like, yo, can you post this? Like, can you fix this? Like, he's always at me, can you do this? And trying to learn how to, because again, I come from an old school style of listening and receiving information, right? Like Bobby Knight he would have never bothered me if he was my coach. That's why you can't coach kids like that nowadays. And coaching Alex, you just have to be different, right? You have to let them flow and play free, but also rein them in. And so learning how to coach today's youth, Alex has really, really helped me with that, and just combining the two, my career, the start of it, and him finishing the way he did has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think we talked before. It was almost kind of like a movie. His season about like he obviously had the injury, which is obviously super unfortunate, but then to come back and he hits a shot that every kid growing up in their driveways envisions hitting. Like you really couldn't write a better like script if you were trying to like make a movie about this season, right? Like, just insane.
At all. I mean, he breaks his wrist, or fractures his wrist. He lost someone special to him, like within the span of 2 days after breaking his wrist or during that time. You have all these expectations. It's a week before the season starts. In his mind, you have all these this is what I want to do, and then that gets thwarted, and then you come back, and then you lose a few games, but then you win 5, but then you go back down again, and then we're 12-13, and I'm like, are we gonna make the playoffs? And and I'm like, it doesn't matter now, we just need to get one. And then you make the playoffs, and I'm like, all right. And then that last run that he has, and then 47 points, and then again, every kid is in their driveways, 3, 2, 1, you take a step back and you make it, right? You pretend. Or if you're in your driveway, how many times you shoot it and you miss and you run back out and do it again, right? Like,
yeah.
He ended his high school career with that kind of shot. I'm just happy to be a part of something like that, because that's what every kid dreams about. And then to do that versus Rivers, you got to give them all the like against the juggernaut. This is, and to do that on the road, like all of right? Oh, you can do that as a number 1 seed or a 2 seed and be expected to win, and that's cool. But to do that, not knowing, I wouldn't have been mad if we didn't get selected to go to the playoffs. Like I'd have been like, fellas, we have a 12-13 record. I don't know what you want us to do. But the fact all that happened, and you put that together, and then you make that shot, that's storybook stuff. And I'll say it again, it's a shot heard around New England, at least from my ears, from my vantage point.
You mentioned beating Rivers. I did want to ask about this rivalry that has kind of defined, like arguably Knapsack as a whole the last couple of years. I know, and I'll totally respect if your opinion as a coach is we just focus on who's in front of us, doesn't matter, but I don't know. The history at this point speaks for itself with Rivers. Do you feel that kind of rivalry, and what does it feel like to play them every time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right. So there was a rivalry where it swung, the pendulum swung in our favor, prior to me, coaching and, so they were on the other side of it. And then for me to come in, I was 0-8 up until that point. And, the first few games, the first 3 games, my first year, all blowouts. I don't even, but there was something I was like, all right, we can play and, we can compete, and got to the semifinals, and that didn't work. And then last year, I believe the first 2 games again were blowouts. And then we get to, um, the semifinals, and then it came down to one shot. And so I was like, all right, here's what I need. And in my mind, right, I was like, these are the players that I need to stop Altman, right? To stop Drew. These are the types of players that we need. And I tried to bring in players and build, and not because it's hard just to bring in just basketball players to Brooks. You have to want to do everything and be a good student, right? And so it's hard. And so I won't lie, those things were in mind to say, I want these kind of players so that when we play Rivers, that'll give us an opportunity. So, yeah, you play the people in front of you, but you also know and respect, like, hey, if we get to that point, we are still going to need those bodies and that personnel in order to compete. And so it's been cool, right? Where they say rivalries are only rivalries if both teams are winning. It's not a rivalry. I happened to get one, and it took that last second shot to beat them. But give that program credit, give Coach Zelaski credit. I've learned to be a better coach, trying to figure out what he does, and he's such a good coach. It's like, all right, you can't recreate what he does, and you just have to see it and read it and do it in real time and be tougher. And we happen to get one, but that's all credit due. All credit
Yeah.
due to the Rivers.
It was just incredible to me because like when the bracket came out, like obviously you were on opposite sides of the bracket, and Rivers was a 5 seed because they dealt with their own injury stuff this year too, and you're the 6 seed. I was like, the possibility exists. Like I saw it in my head. I saw it like potentially happening, but I was like, stuff needs to happen. Like you both need to win 2 tough road games to get to the championship, and then for it to happen was just like, are you serious? Like this is like this. It felt like it was meant to be in a lot of ways. Like, did you feel that way? Did you feel like it was almost like just fitting that it was going to be against Rivers, and that this is how you guys are going to climb the mountaintop?
So in a way, yes. I mean, you know, um, my first thing was, I was like, great, keep them on that side, like keep like I can. And I learned this from Coach McVay. Like, if you give me a 1 game series, I'm going to bet on me, right? And so I was just like, I just need to get into the playoffs. And Coach McVay had mentioned that he was like, just find a way to get in. And I was like, great, this is what I've learned. I know how to break down 1 game, but I was like, at least keep them on that side, because if you don't, again, I'm gonna bet on me. If you don't know anything about Brooks and about us, and you haven't seen us, I like my chances, right? Be able to run our stuff. You can't run our stuff versus Rivers because they're blowing it up right by the time you call it. I'm trying to call different names, and so, for our plays, and so keeping them on the other side was great. But again, I was like, no disrespect to those other teams. They have a championship pedigree, and I was like, they can do it. They're fully healthy right now. You can expect them, in my mind, right, to at least. So I wanted other teams to beat them up, so that in case we get there, all right, now we've got a beat up team, and that's part of it, trying to wear them down. Because if you go, if you try to go athlete for athlete, they're gonna have that. They have, phenomenal athletes on it, and then they can execute. So you have to be able to wear them down. And that's, that helped us, right? Playing a back-to-back and not giving them that time to recover after a day. Playing Saturday, Sunday, you liken it to like playing football in the rain, right? Like it's a neutralizer. You just, okay, one team isn't going to go back and forth, up and down, and so you'll be able to run some sets and do some different things. So
Yeah, absolutely. I know we went deep into Alex and what he meant to the program, and all the amazing things that he did over the last 2 years, but obviously he wasn't done. He didn't do it alone, right? I want to ask about the guys around him, like that also made such a huge impact in the playoffs. We talk about Riley Clark. He was injured for a portion of the season. He came back. I know he had a huge game in that first round win over Pomfret. Emerson Davis, big buckets, big plays. Like what can you say about just the overall, like Noah Walker? You talked about him, bringing him in and what he did for you. Like what can you say just about the overall group and how they were able to kind of come together this season to get this done, and those individual players and how they performed?
Yeah, that's what I like about Brooks basketball, and that's what you got to try to sell to the kids is that you don't know when your night is going to come, so you need to be ready. You just don't know, and I don't know what plays I'm going to like. I'll have an idea, but if things are shifting, or somebody gets hot, or there's a mismatch or something, you all have to stay ready. And each kid like had incredible plays. So Emerson did a phenomenal job. Getting stronger in the off season, and he has one of the prettiest jump shots in a net sack. Even his first 2 years when I had him, as pretty as it was, it still wasn't going in as much as it should. This year he shot over 40%, and he worked on that, and then had a pull up game, and refined his game to just be simpler. And so he was taking, and Alex was trusting him to take shots. They were finding each other, and that was right. So it was Emerson one game, and then Riley against Pomfret. And again, Riley's coming back off of a knee injury, but then it extended up into his hip. And then so he's trying to work his way through that. And Riley's confidence, and he's taking big shots where in my brain, I'm like, shoot that, Riley. And even before I'm saying it, he's loading up to shoot it. So his confidence, I mean, right. When we got back, when Riley got back, we won 5 games in a row. I mean, and right. So like
Yeah.
he's the key cog to that. Trocon Harris made huge, huge shots. The confidence that and I don't know where that came from, but I don't know. I don't know. It just Trocon is making turnaround jumpers. He's pulling up he's going to the he's making passes like Trocon locked in. Noah Walker, his defense, again, that's what, his defensive versatility, and thinking about like bringing someone in. It was in my mind, all right, Riley's got to guard Drew, um, and we need somebody to guard Altman, and I've been trying to find for the last 3-4 years, and I was like, I know it's your job, right? Like I tried the Alex Wilkins experiment, that didn't work. I tried the Tristan Yepdo. Tristan's another one, that didn't work, and then Noah was just able just to, all right, not let him have 30, but let him work for his 17, 18, 19. And so Noah was huge and catching in the dunker spot and finishing. Tristan Yepdo, another one where I could just put him anywhere and we wouldn't lose anything in his confidence and diving on the floor. He was the heart and soul. Herons came in and was dunking everything. And so he had some solid minutes. This was a complete team effort. And with a bunch of just I don't know, they're stars in their roles, right? Not a bunch of stars, but a bunch of stars in their roles. And then Alex just was able to do what he did. But an incredibly complete team in terms of just being able to say, okay, this is what I need at this time. I have this. I can pick and choose, right? And in some games, like again, Tristan didn't play. He played 8 minutes in the championship game. I think the game before he had played, upwards of 20, 30 minutes. And so I was like, you just never know, fellas, just be ready. A cool team aspect from
Yeah.
that.
One thing I noticed just from watching the streams from afar is just the crowd support that you guys got, especially in that first round game against Pomfret. You had like a huge section in the corner, I think it was. And these weren't easy drives for fans to make to get to these games. What can you say about, first of all, the crowd support, maybe how that lifted you guys in these tough road environments and almost made them seem like home games? And two, what this championship maybe meant for the community at Brooks? Like we talk a lot about MIAA and the difference of those communities, and obviously the crowds might be bigger in certain situations, but felt like it meant something big to the Brooks community and the student body there too. What can you say about that support?
Brooks is a phenomenal school and a phenomenal community because of the kids, because of that support. It's not like we're, and we rally for every other sport, and every other team. It's a small community with 350 kids. And so, even the athletic office, if we have playoff games, they will, provide buses to get down there. If we have 2 playoff games and we've had that in 2 different locations and we can make it, they will schedule the games, alternate so that, you can go to one and then leave that and then get to the next place. So the school is incredibly supportive. These kids at the school and the community at large love the kids on the team because they're really, really good kids. They're great kids. Like outside of basketball, these are phenomenal kids. And they're incredibly respectful. And so it's easy to root for them. To have a road trip for them to come to Pomfret, that really helped. You could see our kids got much more loose once, because the game had started a little bit prior to our fans getting there, and they played much more loose. And that was cool. And even last year having a home game like that was I had to look back at it and be like, wow, it was really loud in it, but I can't really tell. But the people here at Brook School are phenomenal. The kids are phenomenal, and that helped. It was definitely a road game at Canterbury. All we had were parents there. Canterbury was tough.
Yeah.
That was a hostile environment, man. That was interesting. And you, I don't know. I think to go down 30 to 11, I think that actually kind of helped a little bit because it quieted their crowd down a little bit, and that allowed us to get back into it a little bit. It was so, and then the game at Suffield was a little bit closer, and that was more so family friends. Not much of a student section, but they would have made it because we had just gone to March break at that time, so most of our kids were gone. But it's a neat place. I'm blessed. I'm incredibly blessed, and and I'll also say this: I'm blessed because I've been embraced by this place even after Coach McVay left. There was no sort of fall off, and that's especially internally. I know, right, and I know this from the outside. Folks is like, oh, Coach McVay is gone. Like Brooks is not going to be anything. Trust me, I use that more than your predictions as a chip on my shoulder. Those folks who said that know exactly, even if you thought that thought, like I know, and I need that. Like, cool. We're not going anywhere. We haven't gone anywhere. And that's what but I felt that internally in terms of the support. Our admission office, our athletic office, and the school as a whole. This is a really, really cool place to play basketball and to learn and to be a student.
That's amazing. I know it's the middle of April right now, and the next season is 7 months away, 8 months away. But how early? I mean, I think you already have one or two transfers coming in, and how early do you start planning for next season? I mean, obviously you're starting already, but what can maybe we expect next year? Like, what are your kind of early thoughts? I know you have a few guys coming back from this team. You lose Alex, obviously he's going off to Furman, and a few other guys. I know Emerson's still trying to find a college home, but he won't be coming back. But what are we thinking about next year?
I mean, so next year actually starts in the middle of the season. Like it's during the season, right? Because you're having kids that, and I work in the admission office, so you're having kids coming to visit. That's hard for me. It's incredibly challenging for me because I'm doing it. I'm doing it all, and I have to meet these kids and think about what we need for next year. And I don't want to, and so that's why I'm just not great at like going out on the road and finding kids and doing that. I don't have the time for it. But you do that sort of in the middle or during the season, and then once the season ends, right? That's the admissions part. Like uh, our admissions decisions are made on March 10th. And then so from March 10th to April 10th, those kids are thinking about, whether they want to come to Brooks. So you have to now yield. And so it's not off. It's just, all right, season's done. Now I've got to go back. Like right now, I can sort of sit and think. Losing Alex, right? Like you can't replace that. Can't replace a 6'5" point guard who averages 25 points a game and do that. You can't replace an Emerson Davis who was a phenomenal two-way player. I can put him on anybody on the perimeter. But we're returning our core guys, right? We're returning our core guys. Herons comes back, Riley comes back, Noah comes back, TY comes back, Trocon comes back, DJ Casamajor comes back, Pacholo comes back. We got a lot of young guys. And so while it will look different, in a sense, we still have the pieces and the bodies to compete. And then I think, and then we're bringing in, a few other guys as well, right? A big 6'9" kid who runs the floor like a deer. Another young 6'9" kid who is coming in as a sophomore, and then two guards as well. Eric Walford from Foxborough is coming in as a good point guard as well. So like we have the pieces to compete. It's not, and my thing is this. I don't know if we're going to win or if we're going to lose. I don't know. What I do know is we're going to compete from play to play to play to play to play. And so when you're playing Brooks and playing against Brooks, be ready to compete because we are not going anywhere. And I think that's the thing is like, you can't make predictions. I don't know. Again, I predicted before the season we are going to just roll and hopefully be the 2 seed, and things don't work out like that. You have to be ready to adjust. And I'll be ready to adjust in terms of what this new team will need in order to succeed, because I went in early this past season with a plan like this is what we need. That didn't work. I had to scrap it, 2/3 of the way through the season because it was like, all right, here are these different pieces. And that's what, that's what I like. And that's what we have the pieces to be able to adjust. So we'll be competitive going forward. That's for sure.
Hi, I'm Jamie Marcoux, AVP for Athletics at LaSalle University. We're proud to offer 15 NCAA Division III varsity sports teams. And last year, all of our varsity teams advanced to the conference playoffs. Our student athletes excel both on the field and in the classroom. LaSalle offers over 60 majors and minors and is located just 8 miles from Boston. With one of the most affordable private educations and housing ranked #1 in Massachusetts by Niche, we're committed to providing an exceptional college experience. Visit laselle.edu to learn more.
Before we let you go, Kenya, we're going to move on to a fun segment. We're going to end the Q&A and go to a different kind of Q&A with producer Dave for Full Court Press.
Full Court Press.
Yes, welcome. Oh, there's a lot going on at the gym today. Okay. Full Court Press is the segment where I throw out 3 questions to all of our panelists here who are completely unprepared for them. And Coach looks confident. Ethan and Steve, not so much. We'll see.
I'm never confident.
We'll see how this goes.
I was pretty confident last week with the pop quiz that we had.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good point. Steve kind of rocked the college hoop nicknames quiz, but different topic today. All right. I've been watching Celtic City on the Max Network, the Bill Simmons produced HBO special. And so I have a couple of questions, sort of kind of inspired by that. The segment that just run recounted D. Brown's time in Boston, including his spectacular performance in the dunk contest back in 1980 something. I don't know. Inspired by that dunk, I ask you, Coach, what's the best dunk you've ever seen? Or who's your favorite dunker of all time? Either one. Tell us about the best dunks ever.
All right. So I'll do 2. The best dunk I've ever seen was I was in college. What was I? I was a sophomore in college. And I had woken up on a later end of a Saturday, right? It was the Olympics were on, and I swear to you, I woke up at the exact time Vince Carter dunked over Frederick Weiss, and it was on TV, and I was like, "What just happened?" And my girlfriend at the time, she knows basketball, but she ran track, and I was like, "Did you just see what just happened?" And like she was like, "I don't understand what the significance." I was like, "He just jumped over a 7-foot dude," because I knew Frederick Weiss. I don't know if he was from this area, but I knew about him. So that was one. A second one was, and oh man, my friend is gonna kill one of my best friends growing up in high school. He got dunked on, but he was
Oh no,
he was behind the dunker. Okay, so he tried. It was bad. Like, so I went to UMass Lowell, and there was a kid named Kingsley who played on the team, and Kingsley was about 6'3", 6'4", muscle. And my friend was probably like 5'11", but he ran track and can run and jump, and so he tried to chase down Kingsley on the block, and Kingsley like cocked the ball back like this, and my friend tried to block it, and he got dunked on from behind because somehow he fell, and Kingsley just rattled the rim, and my friend fell on his back, and I was like, that was the craziest dunk I've ever seen in my life.
That's a great one. I mean, give credit to the defender for even giving chase, but
I won't say his name, but he knows exactly who he is when he sees him.
It's okay. We'll buy the poster and we'll be able to see him on the poster. Yeah. Steve, your thoughts on greatest dunks or dunkers?
My thought immediately also went to Vince Carter, but it was the 2000 slam dunk contest, where the dunks that he did in that, like 25 years to now, like, you wouldn't really think much of like the between the legs or putting his arm through the through the rim, but those were like iconic in the moment because they'd never really been seen before. And Vince will always be number one for me on my all-time dunkers list. But another one that also came to mind at the height of Lob City with the Clippers. You're going to think I'm going to say Blake Griffin, but no.
Okay.
DeAndre Jordan.
I know the exact time.
His alley-oop over Brandon Knight, where he just like caught it midair, like cocked it back and just yammed it on Brandon Knight's head and like pretty much ended his career in that moment. And then just like the reactions from his teammates after, like, ooh, like, that was gross, dude. Did you just do that? Like, the poor guy.
When I coached my son in youth basketball, and one practice, this is like the 5th grade or something. One practice, I brought in one of those miniature, like Fisher Price hoops that, the plastic ones that they could dunk on. And we had a dunk contest, and the first thing I taught them is if you're on the sideline and someone makes a great dunk, the one guy in the middle has to extend his arms and hold the other guy's back. You got to make that reaction, like, oh my God. That's kind of the most fun part of the dunk sometimes. And there's always one guy that has a blasé look on his face, like, oh my God, like just completely blank faced.
I love that.
Me too. Was that his? Go ahead, Coach. Did you have something?
No, I was saying, like Shaq did that when Vince Carter was making.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the reactions are sometimes as much fun as the dunks. Were you done, Steve? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was it.
Okay, yeah. Ethan, dunking.
This is probably kind of a boring answer, but I'll throw it to the last truly great slam dunk contest. I believe it was 2016 between Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. I remember watching that live. I grew up a Timberwolves fan, story for another podcast, but so I was rooting hard for LaVine, although I do think Aaron Gordon probably deserved to win, but they just went back and forth, and the creativity, the sheer athleticism was awesome. And it was the last time where you saw two of the best in-game dunkers in the NBA also be in the slam dunk contest and put on just a crazy show with what they were able to do. So that one I will remember for a long time.
Cool.
For sure.
That was awesome.
Have you youngins seen the D Brown? You have. Okay.
The pump, Reebok pumps.
He pumped it. He had a sense of humor that was kind of cool about him. But he was actually a great player before he injured his knee, and he could jump out of the building. But it was the creativity. It was putting the ball on the back of the rim there and then dunking both balls. Magic Johnson kept going, I don't know what he's doing, but I love it. Anyway. All right, let's move on to question. Right, the blind one, Coach, was even better. Best buzzer beaters on the Celtics. Watching the Celtics City as reminded, you had the 1976 Game 5 of the Finals, which is like a bevy of buzzer beaters. But let's start at the other end of the panel here. And Ethan, you can go first. Just most memorable buzzer beater. It could be something sort of personal from any level of basketball. What's your favorite buzzer beater? Oh,
man. Any level? I was in the NBA frame of mind, so maybe...
You can stick with that.
Yeah. I'll see if I can think of other ones. But immediately for me with NBA, it's the Kawhi shot's crazy. That shot is crazy.
It bounced like 3 times.
The one where you have a good full second of just dead silence as you're waiting to see if the ball goes down. You can't really replicate a moment like that.
Yeah, it was the longest second in sports history.
Unbelievable. And then this one wasn't technically a buzzer beater, but the Steph Curry shot that Mike Breen made the double bang call on. That's one of the shots where I was like, I will always remember watching this game live. And I feel like that was the apex of just Steph being Steph at like his truly greatest heights ever. Where you just thought any shot that he could take in a basketball arena was going to go in. And yeah,
it's not like he's crazy. Over the hill. Last night he hit a couple that were ridiculous.
Absolutely. He's still got plenty of time.
Yeah. Steve, we go to you.
I think I've already told the story of the Derek White tip-in on this podcast before.
Oh yeah.
I was actually there covering the team.
Oh, nice.
2 years ago. A little humble brag again.
Okay.
That was a great one because
he was the inbounder.
Yeah, and he was seemingly the only one still paying attention with 0.8 of a second left. I don't think he got anyone boxed him out, right? It was just a hustle play.
Yeah, it came in from it was like the prototypical Derek White play, but another one that came to mind I don't think it gets enough love. It's an NCAA tournament buzzer beater from, I didn't see it live, 1998. Kenya might remember this. UConn against Washington, Rip Hamilton. You remember this? Where I think there were like 3 or 4 different misses in the waning seconds. I don't know if it was a tie game or if they were down 1. But like Rip Hamilton on the final of after like 4 misses, he gets the ball in like a wild scramble at like the free throw line and just like throws it up and it goes down. I thought that was.
There's nothing like those moments where there's a scramble and it's the most frenetic thing, and you can see players tensing up in that moment. They're like moving like they don't normally move. They're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I don't think that buzzer beater gets enough love. So
my generation remembers. My generation remembers Tate George for the UConn Huskies with 0.8 of a second left, which at the time I don't think I'd ever seen anyone with that little time left. Caught, turned, and shot. Anyway,
because that was a full quarter pass.
It was. You're right.
Probably more impressive than Leitner's one.
I'm impressed that you remember that because I don't think you were born at the time.
I'm a tournament snob, so I know all about them.
Kenya, your turn. Buzzer beaters.
Seriously, you guys gonna serve this one on a platter? Alex Wilkins.
Okay, fair enough.
That wasn't a true buzzer beater, though.
There you go.
No, you know what's terrible is that I'm gonna go like that, the anti buzzer beater, and I still hurt. So I'm a Knicks fan, and when Patrick finger rolled that basketball and didn't turn it over and dunk it, and it missed and popped the back rim. That's what
You're a brave man for bringing it up.
Yeah, I actually, you know what's funny is I saw Pat Ewing 10-15 years ago in Boston, like in a lounge, and all I saw was feet. He had his feet stretched out, and I was like, who is that tall person? I turned around, and it was him. And I was like, I'm a huge fan, and he was like, oh, thank you. And I looked at him and I was like, you should have dunked the ball. And he laughed.
Oh, no.
You said that to him?
I'm glad he can laugh about it.
He took it a good stride, but he laughed. But only because I was a fan. I wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
All right, final question for Full Court Press. In the Celtic City doc, of course, they cover Havlicek stole the ball, Henderson stole the ball, Bird stole the ball. So we're going to talk about our favorite steals. You can pick one of those if you want, or just most memorable steal, or that meant the difference in some fashion. Coach, do you got one?
Most memorable steal.
Wow, that's
a little harder.
A hard one. Let me think.
You boys got one? You want to go first? I've stumped the panel.
I might cheat.
Got one.
Okay, Coach, go ahead.
One is when I got one when Malone had the ball in the post and Jordan snuck over from the weak side and slapped it out his hand before he then went down. You know what I'm saying? And took the clock down and then hung his hand in Utah. Was that in Utah? Yeah.
Sure, Jeff Malone, Utah. Yeah.
So, when he slapped the ball out of his hands, that was an iconic steal for me, because that could have gone the other way if they even got a shot off.
So on the final shot, which was the game, I don't know if that was a buzzer beater. It was a game-winning shot. Did he push off, Kenya? Did Jordan push off?
Of course he did.
He guided. It wasn't a full. His momentum was going anywhere.
You can't make that call in that moment.
Actually, there wasn't enough contact.
Yeah. It wasn't enough to call an offensive foul. Referee calls an offensive foul. He's not going to be fouled.
Yeah, you can't call that in that moment. I
agree with that. That would have been as much as, like, it's one of these things where Celtics fans of course we admire Jordan. Everybody does, but you're just sort of frustrated at how great he is. And it was just a nitpick to be like, well, he pushed off. It's like, oh, so what? He would have won the next game anyway. Anyway, you guys got a steal?
What do you got?
Off the top of my head, I don't think this got enough play in the Celtic City doc. The Dennis Johnson steal, and they didn't do like Gorman's call on it. I thought was really. I felt like that was what made it so great. Is like Gorman is typically, for the most part, pretty even keeled when he's calling, and that was like one of the ones where you really saw the emotion kind of come out and like the jubilation of.
Are you talking about when Bird stole it?
Yeah, the Bird and finished to DJ.
Yeah, threw it to DJ. Yeah. Yeah,
that one off the top of my head.
Yeah, they might not have played that. That wasn't in the finals, but it was in the playoffs, and it was. If you watch, you can see it. It's a young Dennis Johnson. It was his rookie. No, I'm sorry. Dennis Rodman was one of the defenders on the play, and it was his rookie year. So his hair color was just normal, and not as many tats. And he's still, he's a good player. But as soon as Bird's shot got blocked and the ball went out of bounds and it went to Detroit, Rodman takes off down the other end of the court with his hands raised and his fingers in the air. And I don't know if that's what he was supposed to do or if he could have helped on the inbounds, because Isaiah obviously had trouble with the inbounds. Mm-hmm. But to me, that was the quintessential Larry Bird play, because everyone in the stadium thought the game was over. And all Isaiah had to do was put the ball in play. The only one who even thought that, the game might not be over was Larry Bird. Yeah. Steve, you've had plenty of time, so you better have a great one.
You stumped me on the steals.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest, but one defensive
yeah, we'll take it. Sure.
Comes to mind, so it's a little bit of cheating, but Marcus Smart with taking the charges on James Harden.
Oh, nice.
In I forget what year that was, 2017. I want to say
it was early in his.
It was like
career,
height.
Yeah.
It was like height of James Harden with the Rockets, and Marcus Smart took the 2 charges late to kind of seal a big win against Houston, who were really good back then. That was like peak Marcus Smart powers, like. Mm-hmm. Everything Marcus Smart embodied, encapsulated in like 20 seconds of basketball.
Fond memories of Marcus Smart, but we don't miss him, do we?
We don't. We don't.
Not because he's a bad player, but that was sometimes you got to trade the popular player, and damn, it worked, right?
Yeah. Credit to Brad Stevens. That was such a bold move to make, but it paid off like immediately.
Yeah, it was like a Celtics version of Theo trading Nomar, but let's not get into that. Anyway, all three of you have done remarkably well in full court press. Thank you for playing along, coach, and being a good sport. And back to you guys to wrap things up for the show.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks, Yaz. Appreciate you coming on, Kenya. It's been fun following along with your team and your journey this season, and congratulations again on winning the Class B championship. Well deserved. Hope you get a little time off. I know you went to Vegas, but we'll see you at some point soon. I know the NEPSAC showcases are coming up too, so the work never stops, right? So, appreciate you coming on. That'll do it for us on this episode of the HoopWise podcast. For producer Dave, for Ethan Fuller, as always, I'm Steve Hewitt, and we'll catch you next time.